In 2008, Steve Jobs walked onto the stage with a manila folder and pulled out the future of computing, the MacBook Air. It was an overpriced, hot, and kind of a bad computer. However, 14 years later, after being a staple to the MacBook lineup, the MacBook Air reached its final form in the 2022 15-inch M2 MacBook Air. So this is it. This is the 2022 M2 15-inch MacBook Air in this beautiful blue color, and I want to tell you why I think this is the laptop basically anybody watching this video should buy. When you think about purchasing something that costs upwards of $1,000, the price is kind of irrelevant to a point. What is important is the value. Does a MacBook Air at $929 provide the value that you would require from it at that price? For me, the decision was quite easy, knowing my wife would use this laptop until 2030 and potentially beyond, but that is not an answer I can give you. It's something that you can provide, but I, through this video, will try to help. So I purchased this for my wife to help me manage this tech channel. She helps me with the thumbnails. She helps do a lot of the back end stuff. She absolutely loves this thing. My experience using this laptop has actually been really wonderful. It's only the 8GB version because I'm cheap and I didn't want to buy her the 16GB version. She wasn't gonna really be doing any video editing, but I have edited 2 videos on this channel, on this computer, an iPhone 7 video and the iPhone 12 mini video. This laptop was able to push through it no problem, except for, well, one problem. When I watch a lot of my videos when I'm editing them at 2x, and it would chug a little bit in the timeline when you're editing at 2x. If you don't edit at 2x, I didn't notice that same problem, but I edit fast, I talk fast, I'm just fast. I don't run fast. I opted to purchase the base model 15-inch MacBook Air for my wife. It has the M2 chips, 8GB of RAM, and 256GB of storage, and most importantly, a wonderful 15-inch 2880 by 1864 display. For me, it was more important to get a few extra inches of screen real estate for my wife than it was to have a little bit more RAM, just based off of her usage, and probably the usage of an average person. So why do I think everybody should buy this one, the 15-inch versus the 13-inch? And the biggest reason is just going to be the actual size of the screen, obviously. It has nothing else to do with it. A bigger screen is better. Bigger just is better sometimes. And in this case, a 15-inch screen is just better than the 13-inch screen, which is better than the 11-inch screen on some of the initial MacBook Airs. The MacBook Air, there's a reason it's the best-selling Apple laptop. It's because it's the cheapest one that offers the most value, basically. And I think with the 15-inch, you're getting the most value. You get an extremely high-resolution display. You're getting a few extra inches in the corners to actually just spread things out. And my wife, when she's using this, when you're editing videos, when you're editing photos, when you're just browsing the web, when you're doing anything, just having a little extra screen real estate matters. And the beautiful thing about this laptop is that doesn't come at a great cost. It's this thin. I mean, it's ridiculously thin, this laptop. And so when you're carrying this around, you're going upstairs, going downstairs, it's so easy, you just sort of one-handed like this because it's so super duper light. It's powerful enough for day-to-day use for anybody on the planet. You have to try to navigate how much it costs versus how much you need. And I really believe the extra real estate on a laptop really does matter because the screens are so good on these laptops. You don't want to waste it on a 13-inch version. You want to actually utilize it on a 15-inch version. I have my MacBook Pro 16-inch here that I use to edit most of these videos on, and I am looking at the screen for the final edit all the time because the colors are so good on that display. So some of the complaints that a lot of people are going to have are going to be the speaker and the lack of speaker grills right here, which I understand that there's no speaker grills. I think it looks a little funny. Like if you look at my MacBook Pro, it does have the speaker grills, and it looks barren in my opinion, like where the speaker grills at. But the speakers come out on the bottom of the display, the top of the case. When you're actually listening to them, they sound really good. My wife and I have listened to 2 or 3 movies just in bed on this laptop because the battery life is so good. It's crazy. Like she'll bring it into bed and it'll have like 22%, and we'll watch a full 2-hour movie and then we'll look at it again and have like 17%. I have no idea how the chips are that optimized and how they work that well. Obviously the screen brightness at night is as low as it can possibly be, and the volume really isn't that high, but still it's pretty remarkable. The storage, a paltry 256GB. Again, it's like, how much are you actually planning on storing on here? I think, again, it's pretty inexcusable, 256GB from Apple in 2024. That's like 2 minutes of 4K footage, basically. They're on their own iPhones. They offer more storage on their own iPhones. Files that they can film on them would take this up in like 10 minutes of just recording time. So that's dumb. I don't love that, but again, it's not going to affect my wife. That would affect me, which is why I have a 1TB SSD in my MacBook Pro. And the next thing I noticed is obviously there's no SD card slot. That's completely ridiculous. While the initial MacBook Air only featured a headphone jack, USB 2.0, and micro DVI, it's actually the same number of ports that we find here on the 2022 MacBook Air. For The average non-tech savvy individual, which is probably the target audience of this computer, is going to be a bit frustrated. But once they buy a dongle, they will more than likely learn to live with it. But I'm still of the belief that they could have easily fit an SD card reader in here. So you're stuck with just the two USB 4.0 ports, the MagSafe 3, and then of course a headphone jack. And like, to me, that's stupid, because the vast majority of people that are buying this laptop are going to be photographers, basically people who are making content creators. I think that's what it's called. I hate that term, but beginner content creators, that's who's gonna be buying this laptop. Students, the people who just wanna casually make videos, casually do things. And now you're forcing them to buy a dongle. I know that this is not a new thing that Apple's done, but they've proven that they can easily do it because they brought it back on the 2021 MacBook Pros. All the MacBook Pros since 2021 have an SD card slot. I think it's pretty much inexcusable there's no SD card slot in here. An SD card reader is not very thick. It easily could fit in this chassis, but that's just Apple. I don't know. I can't, what am I complaining about? What do I expect? But actually, I think one of the best things to do is just to ask my wife what she thinks. So, Carly, I'm making a video about your MacBook Air.
Okay.
What do you like about it?
I like the color. I like that it just works.
How's the battery life?
Oh, it's good. It never dies until it does. And then I have to charge it for 5 seconds and then it turns back on. It hooks up to my phone, so everything goes on both.
Do you care that it only has 8 gigabytes of RAM?
Yeah. What?
So that's pretty much the crux of it. Is my wife is the most basic, average, everyday user of a MacBook. The reason I bought her this one specifically is because I knew it would last her 7-8 years. And it's like, if I buy a $900 machine and it lasts 7 or 8 years, I'm paying $100 a year. At the end of it, yeah, we'll sell it for like $200 and we'll lose some money. But at the end of the day, it's like she needs a laptop. She needs to help me with Techno Eclipse. She needs to help me make these videos. And this laptop is absolutely perfect. And I think this laptop is perfect for almost everybody, even with 8 gigabytes of RAM. I know it's gonna be controversial because people that watch these videos are tech enthusiasts. I get it. I know 8 gigabytes of RAM is not enough in 2024. It's completely inexcusable. I get it. I've heard all the complaints, but my wife doesn't care. And my wife is the average person buying this laptop. So I know we get frustrated because it seems stupid, and Apple just offered 12. If you offer 12 gigabytes of RAM, I think people would be happy. And how much does it actually cost? I mean, literally, how much does it actually cost? Here's my belief. If this laptop has 16 gigabytes of RAM, it's the current configuration, but at 16 gigabytes of RAM, 99% of people would be completely good. If this laptop only having 8 gigabytes of RAM, I think 95% of people are good. And that's the reality. Is this is a mass-produced product for the masses. This product, it's not built for heavy workload, but it can handle a heavy workload. It's incredible. It's an incredible device. I had no problem buying it for my wife because I knew that she was going to use this for a very long time. And while there are many among you that will hand wave away this laptop because it's pathetic to have a laptop in 2024 with only 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I'm kind of one of them, most people buying this laptop, they just do not need more than 8 gigabytes of RAM. While the day-to-day performance will probably not suffer, in 4 to 5 years, it potentially might. But we have to remember the target audience for this laptop. You just simply don't need 16 gigabytes of RAM if all you do is check emails and light photo/video editing. To be honest, these are good problems to be had. 10 years ago, portable computing was somewhat viable, but now, M-series chips have completely transformed the age of portable computing. It seems like something Apple's quite good at. So at the end of the day, it's like this product is so close. I think the reason this product bugs people and makes them mad sometimes, and they complain about the 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of base storage, is because it's so close to being literally the perfect laptop for everybody. If the base model came with 16 gigabytes of RAM and like 512 gigabytes of storage, or somehow magically a terabyte, I think that this would literally be one of the best selling laptops of all time. But it's not going to be that because Apple is cheap and they do things a very particular way. And I can't blame them. I mean, they clearly know what the heck they're doing. Yes, I think you should buy this laptop if you are the 95% of people that just need a very basic computer and you're just going to occasionally edit a video, occasionally edit a photo, that's fine. But if you're somebody who plans on maybe doing some things in the future, like coding, compiling apps, stuff that just takes up more RAM, editing videos, stuff like that, then definitely go for like the 24 gigabyte or the 16 gigabyte version of this model. I know it's expensive to get the extra RAM, but you have to be able to buy for the future. And I'm a really big fan of purchasing things, and especially expensive things, if it makes sense and it helps you in the long run. I don't want you to buy an expensive phone because you just want to scroll on TikTok faster. I want you to buy an expensive computer because it's gonna help you build a business. So if these things can actually add value to you, then spend the extra money That's what I did. I bought a MacBook Pro 2021. I was able to find it for like $1,300 locally used. So you could go that route if you want to go used. If you want to buy new, this one will be linked down below. It helps the channel, $929. I think it's a great deal. I think it's a great computer. If not there, I will link the other option I think you should buy, which is the 13-inch version of this, the M1 version of this 13-inch at Walmart. It's super duper cheap. I don't think that's an affiliate link, but I think that's just a great deal. I'm not that stingy. So anyways, I really appreciate you watching the video. I will talk to you guys in the next one. This has been Scott with Techno Eclipse. Peace out.